Welcome back, everyone, to the St. Pete by Night Twitch stream where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition version of the World of Darkness set in St. Petersburg, Florida, which includes Vampire the Masquerade, includes Hunter the Reckoning, includes Werewolf the Apocalypse. And that's what we're talking about tonight is Werewolf the Apocalypse, our Rage Across Tampa chronicle, where a pack of young Guru have had to have quite a journey to reestablish the presence of the Guru in Tampa. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night. But don't worry about following me anywhere. What you should do is go follow St. Pete by Night on all social media. You can see some of those platforms that we are available on listed down below. You should also go check out stpetebynight.com, our website where you can see our streams, where you can see our threat meter, where you can meet our storytellers. There are tons of features on the website, and they are growing more and more every day. Thank you for our web wizard, Kyrie, for making that all happen. That being said, I couldn't do this alone. Otherwise, I'd just be talking to you like I was on the last After Dark. Let's go ahead and meet our players. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Hey everybody, my name's Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun of the Gale Stalkers.
Hey everyone, I'm Champ, Champagne, cute little frog on a lily pad, whatever you want to call me, doesn't matter. I will be playing Aspen Weiss, the Phylodox of the Silverfangs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nori. I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hi, I'm Simon. I'll be playing Joseph Ashspeaker, the Theurd from the Ghost Council.
So, last we saw our intrepid pack, they had to face off against a starving remnant. A starving remnant is what happens to a Guru that spends far too much time in the Umbra as their body withers away and their spirit becomes twisted and corrupted. It's quite an endeavor to be in the Umbra as a living thing, something not from it, something not forged by it, almost like a infestation or a bacteria in a foreign host. And that can wear away at a person. That can sap their very life force, leaving just the remains of their rage, of their pain, of their agony, of their hatred. The remnant that this pack faced off against was that of the protege of one Eliza Ross, the Stargazer theurge that they have been trying to bring back from the brink of Harano. This protege had been in the Umbra for what seemed to be about 10 years on the material plane, but was likely much, much shorter or longer, as the time dilation between the Umbra and the material plane can vary depending on all of the events that are taking place. The fight was perilous, and it seemed like it was going to be hopeless, as well as the remnant would not be denied, almost drowning Jester at one point. Joseph, trying to escape with the tear, did drown because of some jaglings that had attacked and the broken ice sending him plunging into the deeps below the Umbra version of the Amelie Arena. Aiden, well, doing his best in the struggle, was just overwhelmed by sheer numbers, as these things tend to be. But Artie and Aspen knew they needed to find a different solution. They aren't creatures of raw force and power. They're known for their intellect and for their wits. So they headed outside the arena and to the roof, hoping to punch a wall through the concrete surface that created the dome over the ice so that the moon could shine in and inspire the Guru battling down beneath. Aspen was put to the test to change into a form she had not changed into since her first change. One that terrifies her, one that has a seemingly tragic history associated with it. But after she was inspired by Artie, told that this was what it was going to take to ensure any hopes of victory in this particular endeavor, she found the strength within, shifting into the most powerful form a guru can take and punching, quite literally, a hole through the roof of the arena, allowing Luna's glare to shine down, her radiance to shine down on the guru down below. This gave them the strength they needed, along with the reinforcement of Artie and Aspen, who dove through the hole in the roof, plummeting hundreds of feet to the ice down below to engage with the remnant. They were successful. They had achieved what they had set out to do in finding a tear of Gaia. And they put to rest a spirit that had starved itself into a state of seemingly endless damnation to do so. The tear, which originally took the form of a large spire, a jagged shard that seemed to shot out of the ice, dissolved in Joseph's hands before manifesting in a talisman that the protege wore around their neck in a slight dull glow. Battered, beaten, injured, some clinging to the brink of life as it was, the pack made their way back to Lettuce Lake Park in the Umbra, to the exit that would allow them access back to the prime material plane. And after a brief farewell with Star, a messenger spirit of Luna, they left, returning to the prime material plane. What they didn't know, and took some time for them to realize, was that almost 2 weeks had passed, even though everything they had encountered felt like a single day. They headed home, going their separate ways, taking some time to lay low and heal their wounds and to re-find their footing. And that is where we will pick up tonight's story, as we will start with Aiden and Aspen, who find themselves in Lettuce Lake Park along the river beside the RV that Aspen has called home ever since relocating to Tampa. The scene is yours.
Aiden will go up to the RV and kind of like slightly aggressive but not too aggressive pound on the door.
Aspen will open. She looks like she's in comfier clothes than what she's used to being around other people in, like sweatpants and a sweater. And she opens the door. Oh, did you have fun?
Yeah, I had to go clean this. This was getting pretty nasty, so it should be good though. Not machine washable.
Right, as you've said.
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
Do you need yours done? Have you washed yours?
Yes.
Good. I don't know if Umbra juice like sits on this or not, so I didn't want to like bring that over. So
By Umbra juice, you mean?
well, when we first went in, we landed in the lake, and it was that weird juices that were running at the bottom, and I don't know if we're supposed to come over. You ever seen the movie like Butterfly Effect? I didn't want that to happen.
Okay. I don't.
I don't know if that would
It's a good
happen
point.
or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Right.
now that's washed off, well, then now it could be in the river.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You could have ruined everything.
I might have, yeah.
You'll have to repent with Joseph later.
Did Joseph run the? All right, I'll ask him. I'm sure he'll know. Maybe he can fix it. Maybe dump the leaf water where I did it, and that'll fix it.
Burn some sage, right?
Why would you do that?
You know, I don't know, but it's a thing people do.
I did want to talk if you could move so I can come in.
Oh, yeah. And she kind of like scrambles out of the way.
No, water. Thanks. Just sit down.
She'll kind of lean up in the kitchen area and grab a cup.
So, haven't really chatted too much since we got back. The people get really crazy with the whole the year change thing, and it's weird. But I wanted to see how you were doing. Just wanted to make sure that you weren't freaking out or anything.
No, I'm okay. No. How are you?
That feeling that I had before, I felt like I was being ripped. It's there, but not as bad. I don't know what happened to you, but when I got moved to a different area, I had to make a choice on a pretty hard decision, and I don't know if I made the right one. The wind and I have a bond. It seemed upset but accepting of my choice. I don't. Well, here, let me back up. So I got there, and I was myself, not me as I am, but myself as what I was prior.
Right.
It was in a large meadow. There was an elk grazing, and there was a really sick, dying wolf up on a rock, kind of like looking out, like looked like on the brink of death. I tried to go and help the wolf. It looked really familiar to me. It looked a lot like my older brother. Upon doing that, he attacked me, and I had to fight him. And when it was all done, the elk was standing there afterwards, almost like haunting, kind of like, I have bested you. The wind said that it understood my choice, but I was too rash to help. So the feeling that I have of the being torn, I feel like I'm supposed to be here. And if I were to go and try and help Stone, that would leave the deer to do what it needs to do here.
Right.
So I've been trying to think about that. But yeah.
Okay. Well, did you help the wolf because it was your brother? Did you help the wolf because it was hurt?
Well, in the pack, when there's a sick or elderly wolf, you do what you can to accommodate them. So that part really came over me. The fact that it looked like him hadn't really hit till I started getting closer. I was already moving towards him because he looked like he was injured. Regardless of hunger or if we're on a hunt, if one of your pack is hurt, you go get them out of that situation. That was my initial thought. Then when I realized it was Stone, that part did kick in, like, oh, I really need to get in there and help out. But it wasn't until afterwards that it looked like something needed help, so I wanted to go over.
Well, I think there was a metaphor that they were going for there, but it seems like you had good intentions as far as that goes, so that's probably why you still were able to pass. I don't know, like a test. So I think your intentions were pure. You wanted to help the pack, which in turn is, I guess, what they were saying the whole time is, here is in your pack here is priority right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Then when I got hurt during that, stone scratched my arms up pretty good, and that when I came back and Star was there, the wounds that were caused came back with me. But no one else seemed to be hurt when they came and had their whole thing. Did you get hurt during yours?
No, I just had a conversation. A good
Lucky.
conversation. Yeah, it was nice. But
Did you talk to someone?
talk to a spirit, I guess you could say, a bird, but
You and your
I-
freaking birds. Okay.
listen, you have your wind.
The wind is strong. You just have a bird.
Falcon specifically, but I'm not gonna.
The north wind specifically.
You're right. You're right. The wind is very powerful, and you should be
Right.
very proud. Yeah,
Right, thank you.
100%. Yep. Not gonna argue that. So speaking of your brother and your family, I went looking into some things before we left.
Yeah.
I found out that there's a facility and a cosmetic facility, I believe run by Aesop. She pulls out like a tiny little black notebook.
What's a
Like
cosmetic?
makeup.
Wolves don't wear makeup.
Right. But you've heard of the animal testing, right?
Yeah.
So, on the outskirts of Silverton, Oregon, there's a facility, and it's possible that's where your family could be.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything we can do from here?
I'm gonna look into it more and find out as much as I can, and talk to Rachel and see if there's anything we can do over here. Right now, I don't know much because we ended up in the Umbra, and I didn't want to tell you there because, from what they say, emotions are weird there. Sorry, I should have told you sooner, but
No, it's fine. I understand why you. I just appreciate you telling me now.
yeah. Are you okay? How are you feeling?
I'm angry. I want to do something, but I have a reason to be here, and there's a reason for them to be there. If I go away from that, bad things are going to happen, and I don't need a second pack to be impacted by me leaving. So no, I'm okay. I'm good.
She'll walk up closer to him, kind of grab his hands. We're gonna get him back. We're gonna figure it out. We may not be able to leave, but there's things we can do, and I'm gonna make sure that we do everything we possibly can.
Okay. Thanks for that. But moving on from this weird feeling, what you did, back at the arena, you saved our behinds, right?
I mean, we all did our part, so I'm glad we were all together.
Yeah. But, it wasn't until you did what you did that turned what was going on. We were losing.
Yeah. Just happy I could help.
I know that the change is difficult for you since the last time, but you do see how there can be good that comes from it. What you did saved me, Joseph, and Jester, and Artie, and we were able to get the thing we needed. If not, we'd all be dead down there. Or in there, over there.
Yeah. If I'm being completely honest, it's not easy, and it was really because of Artie.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
You do know your purpose, right? Like who you are, what Gaia picked you for, what your moon means, right?
Yeah.
And what you did was an act of leadership. You took a sacrifice.
Yeah. Thank you, Aiden.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. I'm not like you. I didn't, grow up on 4 legs and learn all about that stuff.
Well, to be fair, I've only been doing this for a little bit longer than you have as far as the nation goes. But your role in it is one to follow. You are the one up front. I know it's not something you wanted to do, and this life isn't something that you chose, but you were chosen for it. Just like I was. I didn't want this either, but I'm glad I was chosen for it. My life has improved. Your purpose of being who you are helps this pack. You're holding on to that human side, my side being the wolf, helps this pack. And I know this isn't what you wanted, but some of the greatest leaders I've read about and watched all those movies about are some of the best ones. Like that dude from you got the white hair and the wood teeth. He didn't want to be a leader, but he led and kicked all the people with the ugly red jackets out. Gandhi, he didn't want to be a leader, and you see all the stuff he did. Don't look too much into him, because some of the books that I read from the old mean lady at the library, she says that he's not as good, but that's beside the point. He still did some good. I'm getting off track. But what I'm saying is sometimes even people who don't want to be leaders are the best leaders. And what you did is you took something you didn't want to do for the betterment of us to save us.
Yeah. I guess you make really long, drawn out points, but still points.
That's what the books do. They have a lot of words.
Right.
Yeah.
You make good points, and I don't think that I could get this far, I guess, without you. So I appreciate you.
Well, I do more of the physical stuff. I'm just happy that you actually went into that part of it, and you jumped like 100 feet down. That was stupid, by the way. That was dumb. I wouldn't have done that. If one dollar, I take it back. I would have, but you shouldn't be doing that.
I landed in the water. It was fine. I didn't jump on the guy.
No,
that was Artie. That was
Artie
actually really
did
cool,
that.
though.
That was really cool. That was really, really cool. Yeah, but no, I'm happy that you have gotten past that hurdle. It was really good to see, because man, I've been trying to make you do that for years.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep trying.
Just had to throw a scary mummy werewolf, and then it would have been fine. Next time.
Yeah, in a foreign opposite land. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how to get there. Maybe I could make something. We make a bunch of like stuff out of wood. Make a fake upside down weird reverse land.
Or we can make like a fairy circle or like the mushroom circles.
Yeah.
Works for the fae, right? So
A what?
it's, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
I'll get you some books. You can read about it.
Good. Yeah. But let me go wash your stuff real quick and get the umber juices off, and then we'll have Joseph just come and do his stuff over the area, so it doesn't go down into the city.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Aiden, if you want to talk about it, you can. Whenever you want.
I will take you up on that as it comes.
Yeah. Well, let me go get close.
As Aspen goes to retrieve her clothes, both of you hear the familiar rumbling of a Jeep kind of making its way down the gravel path leading into the depths of Lettuce Lake Park. Eventually, it kind of comes to almost like a screeching halt on the gravel near the front of the RV. You can hear the sounds of what sounds like some sort of muffled EDM song pounding within the Jeep itself, and after a few moments, there's a light rap on the door of the RV.
Aspen will answer the door.
Artie stands on the other side of the door. You can see he's got what looks to be some band-aids on his cheek, as the kind of scratches from the jagglings from the Umbra can still be kind of visibly seen, and he's wearing what looks to be a kind of beaten up thrift store fur-lined, almost like jacket over, shielding him from the cold air. Cold as by Florida standards, of course. He seems to have several plastic bags kind of hanging from his arm with the Wawa logo printed on the side, as it seems to be filled with snacks. And then on the other arm, he's holding a big paper bag that says Publix on the side, seemingly filled with groceries. Then one final bag, a small paper bag that says Checkers. And as you answer the door, he says, "Hey, I thought you might need groceries. I know after, a big change like that, I'm like starving for days. So I thought I was just picking up some things. I gotta take some groceries home to Jester. That girl can eat. I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah,
shit.
she's got a great figure for how much she can put down.
I guess social media work is hungry work.
I
But
guess.
I figured you guys could make use of this, and he kind of starts unloading the bags, and then he says, "And for you, sir," and he reaches into the Checkers bag and pulls out a wrapped hamburger and says,
Oh man.
"We promised." And he
Yeah.
passes it over.
He'll reach into and like start unwrapping just.
So looks like we're probably gonna be meeting up in like 2 or 3 days. That seems, once everybody's fully recovered, we're probably gonna do this thing. We're sure we want Eliza, right?
Yep, that makes the most sense
No
with all things
assholes.
considered.
Right. Fair enough. Just worth bringing up again, I guess, because that's going to be a tough conversation, to say the least. I mean, if
Yeah.
we just came back with a rock that was glowing and just said, "Hey, this is for you, feel better. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning," that's one thing. But it's the pendant,
Right. I think we should all get together and really think about what we want to say and what points we want to make to have the best result, hopefully. But how are you feeling though?
Oh, like an 18-wheeler ran over me and then backed up. But it's totally fine. Totally fine. Just a couple more days in the old rawr form, and I think I'll be okay.
Fair enough.
How about you?
Stubbing.
Both of
I
you.
I feel fine. I feel
Yeah?
great.
Oh,
Good. Well, cool. Yeah, I just thought I'd check in, drop off some groceries, and I'll just plan on swinging by and picking you guys up when we go to meet?
Yeah, or you could stay and hang out and eat with us.
I hoped you'd say that. He reaches into the Publix bag and pulls out a 6-pack of beer, but also what seems to be several of these tall, thin energy drink cans kind of held together by the plastic loops. And as he pulls the loops off, you can see he immediately grabs some scissors and starts cutting the loops all the way around in the most eco-friendly way possible. So the three of you settle in to just spend some casual, low-key, no pressure time together as we transition over to the dysfunctional Grace, a curio shop in Ybor City, north of downtown Tampa, a place that Joseph has called his employment for quite some time, and the pack has called their primary meeting place. On this particular day, however, Joseph is not just doing business as usual, as he has a very important visitor in the form of Jester, who has come with some very specific questions. The scene is yours.
Jester will knock on the door. She is holding two, like, carrying containers of coffee. Like,
Joseph will answer. Come on in. Come on in. You're always welcome.
thanks. How you feeling?
Sore. That sucked.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there. Luckily, boss has been light on me. I don't really have strenuous work, so been doing okay. You want to go in the reading room, hang out,
Sure.
quiet? All right.
I brought coffee.
Oh, cool. Thanks. So they'll head back into one of the quiet reading rooms where he normally does his tarot readings and chill, and we'll grab a coffee.
So are all trips into the Umbra like that, or was that just because of the area?
That one was rough. The random spirit and the random patron challenge, not that out of the norm, depending on what you're doing. But the stadium was somewhere I would not want to go just on a little walk. So that was a little out of the ordinary. We walked into something dangerous.
Intentionally, but
Yeah, we planned on it, but you can usually kind of see that stuff coming and avoid it if you're careful. It's not like all of a sudden you're gonna get attacked by that thing all the time.
do you see spirits all the time when you're on this side?
No, I have to try.
Okay, can you?
It
Could you
was
teach
one-
me how?
No. I could show you where you can learn. It's one of my gifts, the same as
Oh,
your
okay.
song and so on. Something else touched me maybe before I was awoken, and I see other things, but when it comes to the proper spirits, I have to look through. It's a gift that I learned from a spider. So that one to be able to like look in the other side and see what's there, and see the jagglings and the corruption spirits and so on. That one is a specific gift. Now, I can sometimes see ghosts. That's kind of always been a thing, and it's not a gift. I'm not sure why that exists. So sometimes I see them when they're doing stuff on this side, and I can see them on the other side too when they're around. Though normally I don't really see them often on the other side. That's a little different thing. I think there's another side to the other side, and that's where they are. It gets weird.
Hold on. Okay, so you're saying that ghosts sometimes appear
Yeah,
on the Umbra,
Umbra.
but they may not necessarily like be from the Umbra.
Yeah. So some other people that like to run through the Umbra, other theurges that I've known, they've talked about other places that you can get to through the Umbra, but they're like deeper, and ghosts go there when they go where they're supposed to go, and so sometimes when they don't get where they need to be, they can slip between. There are things beyond the Umbra. The Umbra is the close thing. There are other things beyond that that some probably stargazers slip into. I mean, I've heard of stargazers talk about dreams, which is separate from the Umbra, but connected to the Umbra. I've always wanted to see one of those, but that's another like sideways. That's in a different direction than sideways.
She looks completely confused.
That's an appropriate response. That face is what you should be doing. It's okay. This doesn't make sense. It's all sideways.
Is that just? I guess that's a word that's used for the Umbra a lot, isn't it? Sideways.
Yeah, it's like next to, but not.
Quite.
I mean, I guess if you like 4D it, I don't know, like you get on Wikipedia and look up multi-dimensions, maybe it's 4D, 5D. I don't, that's not my specialty, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I
Not
could,
really my specialty either.
I mean, if you want to be able to see the Umbra, we could go and make a deal with a pattern spider somewhere. I mean, we know a big one now. She could probably teach you that. You know,
That would be cool. I've recently given her a good wash, mostly as a thank you. We owe it to her. I think she helped bring in that influx of spiders.
absolutely. She's due for quite a bit of chiminage. It's a good fancy word you can learn if you don't know it yet.
She'll pull out a small notebook and write it. Put it away. I'll look it up later. Knowing words is good.
Yeah. I don't know if human dictionaries would have the right definition. I'll have to look it up. I never looked it up in the big book. Let's see.
So, you were able to see ghosts since what? You were little? Like, that's kind of weird.
I maybe all of my memories have changed since the change. It flavors everything you do now. So looking back, I don't know how much of it was being paranoid, being scared, how much of it was actually something I knew. But grandma
Deep down?
always. What's that?
Deep down?
Like I don't know. When I was a kid, I thought I saw stuff, and grandma never told me not to. I mean, she told me not to talk about it to some people, but she never talked me out of it. And so I thought I could, and I don't know if that was real or not. And I just maybe led me to be this style, to take on this moon, but maybe I could always. I don't know.
I mean, is it like our thing? Is it hereditary, or are we born with it? Because I've always wondered. I've had issues as a kid. I got into a lot of fights. I like the outdoors. Like, is that just part of me being a wolf, or was that just normal?
That's a really good question.
Like,
I've been in a mood or two where the wrong people got debating that, and it lasted all night, and it brought the mood down. I don't know that we have an answer. I feel like a really perceptive person, one of us, a really perceptive Garu, could kind of sniff out that it's coming, and there are theurgists whose job it is to find people before their change, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know what they do. Maybe there's something there that's always waiting in us for the change to happen. I know we can't make it. I know they can't make it happen. So I guess it's there. I don't know that it's hereditary. I mean, my mom and dad weren't. Grandma wasn't. So I don't think it's that way. But grandma knew stuff. Like, she was wise, and I don't know how much of that wisdom is us or just, sometimes the humans get it right.
Or maybe we're just chosen by Gaia.
Yeah, maybe she sees us from birth and picks us, and then when the time's right, it happens. Maybe she looks for people who are like us, people who have anger problems and fight for justice, or have a knack to see things. Maybe she looks for those traits and then amplifies them with the gift. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not just asking out of curiosity. I think I came to you a long time ago, like months ago, about trying to find my biological parents, and part of me is worried that if they're like me, Mary or whoever drove the others out might have done something to them, and I will never see them. But that's you saying that your parents are not us kind of gives me a bit of hope, though, so that they're okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I've never met anyone really bragging about lineage or like, telling stories of growing up with their parents changing and stuff. I haven't heard of that. I feel like not having werewolf parents is the norm from what I can tell. So
That's good.
maybe they're out there living a very boring and safe mortal life.
Hopefully.
Gaia Willa.
Yeah. So yeah, I would appreciate all you could tell me about. I guess I could just ask Regina, but I don't know how to talk to her out here.
I don't know that she'll give you direct answers. Spirits don't like giving direct answers. Everything you've heard about, like, the Fae, for a lack of a better word, but like the way people talk about dealing with the Fae, or some of the indigenous people here talk about dealing with non-human entities, is how the spirits are. Like, they don't answer directly. They don't give you what you want. They give you what they think you need or deserve. So I don't know that she could even give answers, and I don't know that they know how we work, because we're flesh, but we're also spirit in a way that humans aren't, even though humans are also spirit. And so I think we're confusing to them, just as confusing as they are to us. So, I mean, if you could find like a Luna spirit that's really, really smart, or like a wolf spirit, or maybe one of our ancestor spirits out there, that maybe they could tell you. But even our patrons don't tell us. Like, the things that guide us don't tell us that stuff. So I don't expect to see answers from them. More questions.
It's interesting. The mention of the Fae and thing, what you said about the Fae, like, I've heard lots of stories, of course. So are they just spirits? Are they actual, like, fairies?
I don't know. I've not met a banshee or a leprechaun or anything. I don't know that I've ever seen one. I could see where the spirits, if the spirits manifested, could be explained that way. I could see that being a thing, but some of the stuff doesn't fit. I don't know. But then again, like, how many of us have actually seen a vampire? We know they're around because, they do stuff. How much of the stuff the mortals know about them is right or wrong, we don't know. Like, who knows? Maybe there are fairies out there, and we're just trying to make sense of them. That one I've not met.
Okay. I mean, we've met vampires now. Are they all that ugly? Like,
I hope not. Otherwise, like, Anne Rice is sorely mistaken.
right? Also, like, how do they all just like hang out in the like bottoms or boughs of buildings? Like, they were in a power grid. Who lives there?
I don't know. I mean,
Who
I kind of
starts
want to meet more.
a human farm there, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know. But like, so the reason I bring up the Fae, there are like stories of people that go out in the woods and they're arrogant or whatever, and either the leprechauns or the river folk, or depending on where you're from, these things will punish you based on your sin, basically, either your arrogance or whatever. That's what the spirits do. They look at your actual intention and kind of monkey paws it. That they give you exactly what you're acting like you want, not necessarily what you're faking. So they see your intent and go there often. So in that way, they're like some of the cautionary Fae tales. But other things besides Fae do that too. Animal spirits do that, coyote or whatever.
So go with a true heart, so to speak,
Yeah,
or be
I mean
upfront.
that's the safest way everywhere. Honestly, every story, if you're honest, upfront, and true, and you have altruistic intentions, you're respected until you get to something legit evil, like a Bane don't care.
That wolf creature didn't care either.
That thing was gone. That was
That was-
just rage.
That was what remained of
We
her.
No. Yes. I think everything of her protege was gone. The rage we feel when we're big, that's different than us. That's part of the gift and the curse. I think that was all that remained, was the energy, the rage, but everything that was her protege, everything that was the person inside and the will of that person was gone. We can't look at that as her protege, and we can't. I really think it'd be a bad idea to tell her what we had to do to the shadow of her protege, because that would probably not help.
I mean, we put it to rest, right? We don't have
Yeah.
to go into detail on how we put it to rest, but
Or that it was
her
what
protege.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we just say we fought a bunch of corrupt spirits and found the tear and it was attached to the thing, I think if we leave out some of those details, the fact that it was in the shape of her protege would be harmful to her. I don't want to lie, but I also like maybe that part of it would do more harm.
There are different ways to tell the story without lying.
Yeah. But she's also not dumb.
No.
So
But
just caution.
unless
on
she
that.
asks me to tell the tale completely, I can spin it. If it helps her.
Yeah, I worry that the guilt she feels will be worse thinking that her protege became that. And the guilt may keep her from seeing that whatever was her protege was not in that husk. So, we'll see.
Jester, your phone gives the familiar buzz or chime of a text message received.
I'll check it.
You see a text message from Artie that simply seems to be a picture of what looks to be a grocery store shelf, specifically Pop-Tarts, one being frosted strawberry, the other being the brown sugar, cinnamon, and just the message, which one?
Brown sugar.
And then you get a thumbs up emoji. The spirit realm is a complicated place. It's very hard to discuss with any certainty as it is ever changing. And the way that we glimpse it, the way Guru glimpses it, is also ever changing. It is a web. It is complicated and almost a mystery to behold, much like that of the spiders that weave them. How they are able to make such complex patterns with such accuracy and speed. How they're able to catch certain things and miss others. Make them even more interesting. But these webs are sticky, and unraveling them even more so. A few days pass, and it is Tuesday night. After a bitterly cold weekend, it seems like it's started to warm up just a little bit, but there is a haze of kind of clouds draping over the area, the occasional drizzle raining down. And on this particular Tuesday, Regina, packed with Jester and Aspen and Aiden, pulls up to the back of the dysfunctional Grace as the meeting time has come, the time to make final decisions, to make preparations, and to plan to head on over to the trailer park that Eliza calls home. The car seems to be running a lot better over the last few days, being a lot more well-behaved, as it were, and Artie seems very, very pleased. And looking at the outside of the Jeep, it has been washed quite thoroughly. A lot of the dirt and salt that hangs in the air from the Gulf and from the bay seems to have been cleaned off. The windshield actually has what appears to be new windshield wipers attached to it, and it seems like the vehicle's maintenance has been well upkept. And as it comes to a halt, it just quietly, without a shudder, without a kind of grumpy demeanor, just falls silent as the engine dies off. And Artie happily kind of pets the steering wheel a couple of times before opening the door and climbing out. We're here.
Yeah.
Aiden, we're
let's
at
go.
Grandma's house. Put your shoes on.
Fine, I suppose. I don't think Grandma would really mind, but fine.
Everyone climbs out of the Jeep and makes their way to the service entrance to the back of the dysfunctional Grace. And Joseph, you know when you have an appointment, so you are standing there ready at the back door, holding it open as the entire group approaches. Again, seemingly for the first time, everyone is reassembled as a whole, having since parted that evening, having left the Umbra. Again, the scene is yours.
While walking in, Aiden's gonna go up to Joseph while he's holding the door, like, I need your dry leaves. And Aspen, was it something to burn?
Sage.
What?
Say, I need sage.
Why?
I may have put some juices that we brought with us into the water source. We'll talk about it inside, but yeah, I need those. And he's
Yeah,
gonna walk in.
come inside.
Everybody makes their way in, going down the hallway and turning into the reading room where the tea is already ready. Fresh cups poured for the 5 of you positioned in your normal places where everybody seems to sit. Artie, of course, kind of fumbles through the jacket and pulls out an energy drink that he opens and sets next to the teacup as he finds his seat and drops into it. It looks like he's healed a bit more over the last few days. The bandages are gone, but there are still some slight bruises, that kind of yellowing bruise that is the last final days of its mending. We did it! Now what?
Now we figure out how to convince the grumpy old lady that she needs to come back to reality.
Can we go back to the Umbra instead? That sounds a lot easier.
It does.
I'm good here. had enough of the Umbra for a little bit. I'll be okay. Yeah. We should be firmly in this place and not in the upside down, as Aiden likes to call it.
It's weird.
It's a good show.
It is a good show.
It's a good show.
It's a good show.
I'm not caught up yet. Someone needs to up their Netflix.
I'll work on it.
Thank you.
Look, ever since password sharing, Netflix has gone down the hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what about juice?
Yeah, go ahead, Aiden. Go ahead, tell them all about it.
So,
It's fascinating.
all right, when we went through and we landed in the lake, but it wasn't the lake, but it had all like the red juice flowing through it. And so when we started going through, and then some of us went into the water, and that kind of sits there, and then we came back over. Have you ever seen the movie either Timeline, Back to the Future, Butterfly Effect, anything like that? And where they go somewhere and they bring it back, it affects it. Now, if that did happen, I was like, I need to clean this because one, it was covered in nastiness and blood. So I went to go clean it. You can't clean it in the wash machines because then it ruins the whole thing. I gotta read it. It's a pain in the bahookie. So then I went to the rivers and I was cleaning it, thinking, oh, I'll just get all the umbra juice off. But then I was like, what if I just put timeline affecting things into the water source of Florida? And then Aspen said I just ruined everything, and then we had to talk to Joseph and had to get the sage to burn, and then your magic dry leaves.
Okay, so whatever was in the Umbra that we brought back on us will be fine in the natural world. We're not gonna like corrupt the timeline or poison anything. Especially not any worse than the world around us is. A little bit of Umbra on this side probably won't hurt anything, even if it was. I mean, the water's fine. I guess maybe the juice, as you call it, that's from Gaia. I think it'll be okay. However, if it makes you feel better and will make you feel more comfortable about using the river, I can get you a bundle of smudging materials.
No, I
won't
need
be sage.
smudging. I need
Smudging is the term that many people use for like burning something and cleansing. I like to use lavender and rosemary and a few other things, specifically because sage is not my practice. So I'll get you a bundle from my practice so that I'm not like using a material that people are like struggling to keep growing. But it'll do the same thing with your intent and it'll be okay. You can burn it and basically just will cleansing on it. That's a lot of what we do is just this exertion of will and the symbolism of our will, and then that way you can purify the region of water.
Okay.
But
so
it's fine, but you should be okay. I don't think we have to worry about cross-contamination. This isn't like the underground where like you're gonna bring back some weird Vecna goo.
Wait,
Woof.
I think we're burying the lead here. Artie kind of pipes up as he's staring at Aiden with this kind of slightly odd but also slightly bewildered expression. Buddy,
yeah,
you know we didn't time travel, right?
Oh, we definitely did. Did you not see how ruined everything was? It was destroyed.
True. Valid point. But that's not the future. It's
the past?
No, not exactly. It's kind of the past, present, and future combined, but it's really more the present. Like it's the spiritual residue. It's kind of the impression of our world on that world.
Okay, Aiden, you've been watching movies, right?
Right.
Did you watch the Constantine movie yet?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember when he slipped over into hell?
Yes.
and he was in the bat. That's a bad side of the Umbra. The Umbra can look like that when it's really bad, but it's just next to, not
so you
before
can
or
tap
after.
into hell? That's
I
cool.
mean, if I go deep enough, maybe, but it's metaphorically the same. You're in a sideways
Part of hell.
next to, but Umbra's not necessarily hell, but it's the same way that he like slipped into another step. It wasn't before or after, just a impressionist view of the spiritual landscape of right here, right now.
So you're like John Constantine. You
Yes,
You fight. Ah,
I will take that. Thank you.
cool.
But it's
Give me the
happening.
British one more.
It's kind of happening at the same time as things are happening here. It's not like we went somewhere else in time. It's like we went to a different place. It's like traveling. You know what I mean? Like we go, like you came from out west to here, and it's different, right? Like the vegetation is different. The people are
but-
kind of different.
We went in, and time was different when we got back.
Aiden, we'll explain it to you when you're older. We have other things to take care of. Okay?
I feel like the paradox of time is very relevant. I learned that
Maybe-
word earlier.
That's good. Maybe there was a black hole in the Umbra and time.
Oh,
Interstellar.
oh,
hit,
it just
okay?
slipped. Oh,
Yep.
well, that makes sense. If there was a black hole and it got. Oh, okay. No, we're good. Also, smudging does not clean. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I'll take your not clean stick.
We're gonna have to write a book
Cool.
together, like a sci-fi fantasy novel. Your brain is just amazing. Anyway, okay, so we're settled on the old lady. We're settled on Eliza. I'm no big fan of riders, but just what we give to one, we're in a sense taking away from another, and they're not going to be happy about it if they find out at all, if they even care at all. But it is kind of like, it's one of those things to consider.
The fact that it is down. Okay. The fact that it's in the talisman that was from her protege, just I feel like it just makes sense to give it to her. Like she has a emotional connection to the item. And almost as if like even the Umber and the spirits were saying we give it to her. Like the spirits told us that we needed her.
But the question is she going to want to take it? Because like you said, it's the talisman. It's a representation of perhaps her biggest failure or her biggest loss or the thing that drove her over the edge. Like, is revisiting that going to help, or is it going to just dig that hole even deeper?
She already revisited it, and that's the reason she told us not to go, because she believes that this fight is pointless and that we're doomed to fail. And so this is proof that we will not fail, because we did it.
Die.
Yeah, we did what she was expecting us. We did the opposite of what she was expecting us to do. And I don't want this is going to come out, and I need someone who speaks better than me to say this another way. But she expected us to fail because her protege did, and we did not fail where her protege did. Not as a slight to her, but because we are many, he was one, we were able to succeed.
We're better.
That's what I don't want to say.
Oh.
And insult her protege. But because we have a pack, because we have all of the moons, because we have balance, we can do things that the people in the past couldn't do.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then also on a logical side, I know it's not the best option, but if it does happen that she's just an absolute no, then we go to Ryder because we have another option. We have another option in our back pocket. We're not going in and just it's defeat and that's it. That's all we have. We have other things. We have other options. This is just the best, I think, spiritually and also logically if we're trying to bring back cairns and stuff in the area, she would be the best advisor to have for that. As well as I don't think it's good for all of us young ones to be dealing with such a loose cannon. So those things combined, she just seems like the best option, right? Take all emotional feelings and biases out of it. Logically, it seems like the best option.
Yeah, I mean, no argument from me. I just feel like if we don't uncover every single stone, if we don't look at every single possibility, we're unprepared. Like, we don't know what's going on in that old bat's head. You know what I mean? Like, she's been living this nightmare for longer than most of us even been Guru. And the other thing to consider is what we know about her situation. So, I remember Jester mentioning some rather odd behavior. And, I mean, you also got attacked there by something.
Right.
So she's likely not completely alone in the grand sense of things. So we might not be dealing with her. We might be dealing with it manifesting through her, whatever it is. Banes, I think you said, Joseph, when we were talking about all that?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, this might be a way to face that. I mean, I figure something that is so tied to Gaia might annoy it. Kind of like when, you hold up a holy symbol and push the demon out, like in the Constantine movie. That may be what we get into. That's something we have to be ready for.
So how can we be ready for that?
I mean, I'll open my eyes to the other side when we go in. See if I can see anything. And then the nice thing about our claws is they can hurt that stuff.
But can they hurt that stuff here? Like, as
If
far
it
as I know,
manifests,
it's like a puppet on
Yeah.
this plane, but a puppet master on the other.
yeah. I
We
know on
cut
the
the
other side we could
strings?
do it, but that's kind of what we'd have to do. I mean, claves can sometimes do that. We don't have any, but sadly sometimes you gotta like hurt the vessel to get it out, and I don't want to do that. She can probably fight better than most of us. So yeah, it'll be tricky. We may have to jump over, or one or two of us may have to jump over and fight it. Or we exercise it, push it out, do something else.
Is there a way to do that? Do you know of a way to do that?
I mean, there might be a right for it, but we don't know it. I don't have a gift for it.
Okay, so then the other option would be to go to the other side and take care of it there, correct? Okay, if that's the case, who do we all want to go? Do we want to send half of us? How do we want to do that if that is an option?
Can
I'll
she fight it
go.
if it's in her?
If she wants to.
Um,
I mean, if we can get her to push it out, yeah, maybe that's maybe an internal thing. And maybe this will help. If the tier will help break her of that, then maybe we can get her to push it out because of the tier, and then fight it on the other side.
I mean, I'm willing to go to the other side too and fight it, but it might be good if like we split between. I'm not sure. I'm not the best at
She'll
timing.
if we try to slip over, she may run on this side. Like, we may have to handle it on both fronts. We have to subdue her on this side and fight it on the other side.
Well, what if we take people that I don't have any type of connection with this lady, so I don't mind going over. I think faces that she's somewhat familiar with should stay on this side to try and keep her grounded in a sense, and those who don't have that deep of a connection go over to take care of the Bane thing.
That could work too. I guess I'd stay over on the side with Aspen because I think we have the biggest connection to her.
Yeah, and if anybody's going to convince her to calm down, it's going to be you and I.
Right.
So that seems best. And I mean, Joseph's got to get everybody back, so he's got to go on the other side. That's a given.
So, almost sounds like we're gonna go into this separate. Do we want to? Because like it takes me a minute to do the right. Like I don't know that I could do the right in the midst of fighting. I've never done it. I mean, I could try, but I don't know how easy that would go.
I think we have to fill it out first. Because the more we have on this side trying to convince her is better as well. We go in, we feel it out, and if it does seem like you look with your special eyes and it seems like it's a lot more than we can handle right then and there, then we can come up with a new plan before we do anything drastic.
Yeah, and like I maybe if I approach with the other eyes open, then I may see it before we go in. That may help.
Right. So those are options. I think we all go in together starting off, and if you see something, you can pull us aside and we can talk about that. But as far as the convincing, what are our talking points? What do we want to hit on?
I mean, first, I guess we just hand it to her. Like, this is hers. Whether or not we specifically say, here's a tier of Gaia that hopefully will help make you less depressed. I don't know that that's an option, but like, you should have this. And then, I don't know, let the magic do its thing.
I was thinking the same thing, as in like, while we were there, we found this. And we think you should have it to remember them by.
What happens if this thing broken? Like she gets so upset by the sight of it and just breaks the thing.
I don't know. I feel like the talisman, the pendant is just the physical, like
A representation?
yeah, it's not it. The tier is in it now. The tier was the spire, was the big crystal, and then the tier moved into here. I don't think the tier is the physical thing. So even if the pendant breaks, I don't know that the tier will go away.
Okay.
Maybe.
Just
Again,
precaution
this is the
kind of
first
thing.
tier I've seen
Like,
ever.
does she need to have it on her always? Like, it's a talisman. How does it work? Like,
Well, okay, so they sang some songs at these types of thing. I mean, that's why it's kind of a myth, but you know, when you go to the big moots, they like to talk about these more to entertain the young, I think, than anything. But from what I understand, it's something that they have to spend some time with, almost like therapy in a thing. And they really have to focus on and contemplate that what they're going through, and almost have to, in a way, come to terms with it. And I guess kind of like forgive themselves for having fallen prey to it. They have to reconnect with Gaia. So there's got to be a choice made. They have to want this more than anything. It's not like it's and forgive my nerdiness here, but we've covered some nerdy ground already with all the Constantine talk. It's not like a shield or a ward of any kind. It's not gonna just make. It's not like you're taking Wellbutrin. You just hand it to them and all of a sudden they start to feel better. It's more like it's It's a choice. It's like a beacon. It's almost like a bit of light to lead them back out of the darkness or to get them out of the fire, but they still have to walk that path. They still have to choose to be redeemed. They have to choose to come back. So I think that more than anything, I mean, obviously, Banes and shit aside, she needs to be convinced that this is the right choice, that it isn't hopeless. I mean, yes, us coming back is probably going to be kind of cool, but is it enough?
Well, I think on top of what Joseph said about the fact that there were many of us, I think even just it being a talisman might be, the way we spin it might be a boon, because she already has a personal connection with the talisman. If we can convince her that her protege would not have wanted her to just give up. Her protege did not give up. Her protege went into the Umbra with full conviction of what they were doing, and they would not want her to give up.
And they found it.
Right.
They just didn't return with it.
And already kind of grows a little bit more dour in his expression, his brow furrowing a little bit as he's trying to put some words together. You can definitely see the calculating look in his eyes as if he's trying to sort something out. Jester, we've talked about this before. To lose somebody but not to know what became of them. There's a part of you that hopes
Doesn't.
still. A part of you that doesn't let go. That they're going to come back. This is proof he's never coming back.
But it's also closure.
Yeah. Closure isn't
It's-
always good.
Closure isn't always good, but it's the truth, and it's something you can work through. And it's something that you have to take. You can't only know half of the story, because then you're not grieving properly.
She'll never heal if she doesn't know part of the story. Not knowing is sometimes just as bad.
And what kind of people would we be if we didn't give her that choice and give her that gift of knowing what happened?
You're right. I think no matter what, it's the right choice, the right path. I just really, really want to win this one. I really, really want this to have all not been for nothing in its own right. I mean, yeah, we put her, the remnants of her protege, to rest, which is great. Go us, we did it. But she's kind of our primary, or we're putting a lot of bets on her, and rightfully so. We need someone to know how to reawaken the cairns. We need to have somebody who can teach us these rites and rituals that we don't know. And she's the only one. I mean, everybody else has given up on this place, it seems, except her and Ryder doesn't seem the whole knowledge before power type. So it would just really be bad if this doesn't work.
It's a big risk, and it's a big reward, and it wouldn't have been for nothing, because we are all together and we're all working on this together. So regardless, we still have plenty of wins under our belt. A lot of really, really difficult losses, but a lot of wins. So let's just brainstorm. Let's figure out what we think is important and go from there.
I was talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was talking to Joseph a few days ago, and he mentioned that maybe we shouldn't tell her about the remnant part or fighting it?
I don't think that's fair to her. I think we tell her what happened.
She
No,
probably
they're
already
right.
knows, to be honest.
Yeah.
She's a theurge who's versed in the Umbra. I think
No, I was
that's
short-sighted. They're right. I want to do it gently, but yeah, she needs to know. She'll probably figure it out, but yeah, it's not our call. You're right.
I'm also gonna play the bad guy here for a second. What are the odds of us ever finding another one? And what if what happened to her happens to one of us? Like, I'd rather make sure you guys are good, to be honest. She gave up. She walked away.
How long did tears last? We put it in like the fridge.
This one really feels like it's hers. Like,
Maybe
I-
it's the last gift she can give us.
maybe. But like, I think we got a long way to go till we're there. I mean, I get sad sometimes, but I don't think I'm anywhere near there yet. I'm not giving up.
We've also got a hell of a fight in front of us. With or without her, one way or another, it's us against fucking God knows how many leeches and whatever the hell else is around here. I mean, the tree. The tree alone could. We don't know what they can do.
Trees.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
I'm kind of with Joseph, though. It feels like it's hers. It went into the talisman. I don't know if that was because all of us were convinced that it should be hers.
Or maybe
But-
it was just the Umbra doing what the Umbra does and reading our minds.
Yeah, it could be that. But
I'm not saying we shouldn't. You gotta understand, guys. Like I'm just really considering all the angles here, because if one of you goes down, and this only brings her a little bit of the way back, we might lose one of us and her again. She, although I'm sure she doesn't want to admit it, probably feels an attachment at least to Aspen and Jester. And losing them probably would just send her spiraling again. And I don't know how much this brings one of us back, but if she's teetering on the edge again, all it takes is a slight push for her to go right back off, and then we're down 2.
I'm going to be very honest here, but given the forces we are facing in the city, we may not even make it to her point. And I would like to have an ally aside from us that can help us at least get a better standing or understanding of the city. That isn't just like, hey, we're going to trust this person because they're part of the nation. Oh, look, an explosion happened.
Yeah, and the nation turned their back on this place. And she's not of the nation. There's that.
Alright, well then we have to make an agreement. The 5 of us. If we're gonna do this, if she takes it, if all goes well, we have to be extra careful. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've always felt empty and alone before we all came together. Like something was missing. Like I was just a piece of something that was just floating. And I don't personally want what we have here to go away because we're reckless. Because we're, Fighting the fight, yeah, that's good, but it's not a single fight. It's a long fucking war. And so we need to be careful. We need to not go charging off into conflict. We just need to watch each other's backs. We need to really be a pack, not just a bunch of islands in the Gulf.
I agree. I have friends, but they don't understand any of this, and so I've been pretty lonely. And I agree that we should definitely be an island.
Artie kind of looks at Aiden for a moment.
I've already lost one pack in this lifetime. I don't plan on losing another. My island will join your guys' islands.
When I was elementary school, and Aspen and Joseph and Artie might know this too, they used to talk about the pencils and how easily one is to break. But if you had like a whole stack or multiple ones, you couldn't really break it because there's lots of them together.
Like in Planet of the Apes, one ape weak, ape fist strong.
How many movies have you watched
A
since
lot.
you? I see. Okay.
Well,
Alright.
books take a long time. Words are
Ha-
hard.
You,
We need to add 3 ninjas to your list, bud.
have you tried audiobooks?
What's an audiobook?
I'll show you later.
Cool.
Artie looks over towards Aspen.
Guess I'm a pencil. Put me in the stack. Sure.
I don't know. I think you're more of a sledgehammer after the Umbra, but you know,
Agreed.
just saying. All right. Then let's just see where this goes together. And with that, the pack kind of finishes their tea, steadies themselves for what
Joseph,
lies
he didn't
ahead.
have to ask you because, we already know you're in. It's fine.
Yeah, well, obviously. I mean, I assume he's the one who called us all here anyway. Everybody heads out to Regina. Regina seems a little more hesitant, starting up, knowing the intentions of this particular trip. But she does what she needs to do, and the Jeep makes its way to North Tampa to the trailer park, which has been visited many times before. But with that, we're going to take a short break, about 5 minutes. Come back and join us in 5, where we have the conversation. We'll see where this goes with Eliza to see if she is indeed deserving of a Tear of Gaia and a road to redemption. Join us back here in 5. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back, everyone. We are back for part 2 of episode 9 of Rage Across Tampa, entitled Undeserving, where our pack seeks to find if they can see if Eliza Ross is indeed deserving of such a gift as a Tear of Gaia to bring her back from the brink of Harano, or if the tear will remain unspent and perhaps be bound for Ryder, who suffers from Hoglosk. The pack pulls up to the trailer park that Eliza Ross has called home for at least a decade, possibly longer, and it makes its long drive through the various trailers all the way to the back of the park, an alcove near the back that Eliza has called home. The trailer, as always, is in disrepair and seemingly filled with litter and dirt and trash since your last visit, possibly even more so. Some of the other trailers still have the remnants of holiday lights hanging off of their porches and surrounding their units, but this one shows no merriment, no holiday, no joy whatsoever to be beheld, even as the holiday fades into a distant memory and a new year has taken hold. There are beer bottles and cigarette butts littered all around the front of the walkway and the porch as you make your way up, the familiar squeak of the stairs, avoiding that one broken stair to the best of your ability to get to the top of the porch, with the all too familiar dirty and beaten welcome mat that just simply says "go away." You open the screen door and give it a gentle knock, and there is a silence for a few moments. And after a while, you reach up to knock again, and the door slowly starts to creak open. Before you enter, are there any preparations you'd like to make?
Yes, please. I would like to, as we approach and enter, I'm going to use penumbral senses, and then I'll follow behind, because I probably can't see very well on this side. I'll follow closely behind the packmates, just to keep an eye out of the umbral side of things.
Okay, for our first-time viewers and for those who are new, why don't you describe penumbral senses and what that requires?
All right, so penumbral senses is a gift that uses my wisdom. I spend a willpower, and so I take a superficial willpower damage, technically. And it allows me to open up my eyes to the umbral side of things. And I make a gift roll using my intelligence and my wisdom with a target of the local gauntlet rating.
Okay. So go ahead and make the roll. The gauntlet rating here right now is 3.
I'm going to spend a second willpower.
Okay. Okay.
That's 5 successes on that now.
5 successes. So closing your eyes, focusing on seeing what lies beyond. When you open them again, it's like kind of like slightly overexposed film at first, or something where you're seeing 2 impressions of the same image slightly offset, laid across each other. Looking around, you see encroaching darkness emanating from what appears to be the trailer, as if this kind of disgusting inky blackness is leaking out from the trailer, not just onto the ground where you see several jaglings kind of skipping around picking at the trash that seems to be on the ground, but out into the sky as well, almost like the smoke that you know billows on the inside of the trailer is leaking out the windows and infecting the sky above. However, there is another encroaching kind of entity coming into view, as looking back behind and up above, you see what seem to be the extended branches of a tree coming from a very, very familiar location, reaching over in this direction, as if almost trying to kind of pierce through the smoke and pierce through the blackness. It's kind of hanging overhead in a very similar fashion as to when it was when you were in the cemetery itself. Kind of almost blocking out the sky, except you can see what appear to be figments of light from the moon kind of shining in through the branches themselves. The branches seem to try and reach towards the smoke, but when they do, they kind of recoil and almost like shake slightly, pulling back in kind of frustration and also perhaps even a slight pain, trying to withdraw. That's what you see.
Okay, I will relay that to the group. There's something dark in here. It's coming out from the trailer. I don't see any movement physically, but there's definitely shadow stretching from here. And Grandma Willow is not far away. I think she's on our side right now.
So after the second rap, the door kind of just unhinges on its own and squeaks its way open ever so slightly. It's dark, it's dusky, and it's almost chokingly bad, the air quality within, as it kind of causes you to remember just how lucky you are to breathe freely on a day-to-day basis when this feels like the exact opposite. It takes you a moment to gather yourself, the slight stinging sensation in your eyes causing them to water ever so slightly, but you make your way in. The lights are out, no lamps appear to be lit, and over by the recliner, you see what appears to be the slumped over figure, kind of like limply laying in the chair of Eliza Ross. You can see that there are several cigarette butts kind of littering the floor around her, and you can see the photo from the bedside table of her and her protege kind of laying limply on her lap. Aligned with the cigarette butts, you also see several beer bottles that seem to be kind of stacked up loosely and with no kind of a semblance on the side table next to her. Upon cursory examination, looking over her, she is deathly still, terrifyingly still. But with another moment of study, you see her chest rise and fall as kind of like a ragged breath, a sleeping breath, seems to emanate from her throat.
I'm gonna set the beer bottles that I brought, or the like pack of beer, outside, and just keep the bag of tacos that I brought.
Okay.
She's not getting the beer right now.
I will go pat her leg. Eliza.
At first, she doesn't stir, just that kind of slow, ragged breath kind of emanating. But after a couple of pats, she kind of snorts ever so slightly and jerks, and her eyes blink several times blearily, looking very reddened and bloodshot. Just even by looking at her, you don't even have to tell that she has been probably on quite a bender, but also experiencing a depth of sorrow that is unmistakable. As if, tears have dried at the corners of her eyes. Her face is very just kind of like dry and almost ashen in places. But she blinks several times before squinting ever so slightly. Aspen.
Yeah, we're back.
She coughs a couple of times and then kind of readjusts herself in the chair. Kind of pausing silently, allowing her eyes to adjust as she takes in the sight of the five of you. You're back. Well, I'll be damned. I'd offer you something to eat, but I don't have anything.
Good thing I brought tacos.
You see a slight curl to the corner of her mouth. Good to see you, Jester.
You too. Do you want some water?
Beer has water. And she reaches over to a bottle nearby and picks it up. It kind of sips on it gently.
It does have some sort of hydration.
Come in, sit down. She gestures to the couch, the dingy, stained floral print couch.
I'll set the tacos on the table.
Did you find what you were looking for?
We
We
did.
did. Yeah.
What was it like? It's been so long since I've seen it myself.
It needs work, but work can be done.
We
It's
did a
better.
little.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was better when we left.
Well, tell me more. Tell me about it.
Before we get too deep in the conversation, what does she look like on the Umbral side?
The same in a lot of ways, but definitely darker. When you came in, she seemed to have this kind of like almost blackened shroud laying over her, almost like a funereal cloth that would be put upon a corpse in a bygone era. But upon her waking, upon her seeing you, you saw the shroud slip slightly, uncovering her face, and it seemed like what viewed as her breathing, this was the first real breath she took.
No puppet master over her at the moment.
Not that you can see.
Okay, cool. That's what I'm looking for. Like anything that if I notice anything moving around her, I'll keep an eye out for that.
Okay. So you went at the lake.
We did.
We did. When we stepped in, it was dried and cracked. There was some sort of red liquid that was in between the cracks. I'm sure Joseph could say what it is. I'm not sure what it was, but
It's blood.
oh, okay.
In a sense, it's blood. It's no different than the sap from a tree. But it's blood.
Well, we met up with Artie's friend.
She kind of
Regina.
looks over at Artie as you mention his name, and he kind of like looks anywhere but at her guys, just like seeming very interested in a specific spot off in one corner of the wall.
She was great, like really helpful the entire time. But we made our way to this tree where we talked to a
loon.
a loon. Her name was Star, or we called her Star. And she told us we each had to go through trials with our patron spirits in order to be able to get the location of the tier. I can only speak for mine. I had to get my friends from being imprisoned in silver. Kind of burned my hands, but they're better now. But I had to get them from being imprisoned, and then I spoke with my spirit for a while. Gained her approval.
She kind of nods ever so slightly as she's listening, but then her eyes, growing sharper ever so slightly, kind of look over towards Aiden again. And you?
What about me?
your trial, boy?
It was rough. My patron had a difficult test for me to go through, and from Aspen's help of me realizing I made a choice that was acceptable for what was going on. It was not a good time.
Never is. Wouldn't be a test otherwise.
Yes, ma'am.
Ash speaker.
My path took me home to talk to my grandmother, where she reminded me of what I had done so far to help me remember what I need to keep doing.
She kind of considers that for a moment. You can see her hand kind of almost instinctually kind of touching the frame again that sits in her lap. Aspen.
Eliza. I had a conversation about fully embracing who I am.
And who are you? And she kind of leans forward in her chair, intently, kind of eagerly anticipating the answer. You can almost hear her old bones kind of creak as she leans forward. And Joseph, you can see what appeared to be from the back of the recliner hands reaching out and either plunged into her back or gripping at her back, trying to almost yank her back towards the chair.
I'm many things. Part of Gaia, part of this pack. Someone trying to help in a lot of different ways.
She slowly pulls herself back, even though you can tell based off of her movements that it's not necessarily of her own will, but perhaps her weariness kind of pulling her back to settle into the chair. Congratulations, I guess. You learned a little bit more about yourselves. You learned a little bit more about the fight. Spirits are fickle, tricky things. They say that they only show us what we already know, but are unwilling to see. I hope you take to heart what you saw and what you learned. Maybe it'll buy you some time. And after that, she looks kind of back towards Jester.
After we returned, all of us succeeding or getting the blessings, we talked to Star again, and she gave us the location of the tier, which was in the stadium in Tampa. So we traveled there. And when we got there, the stadium, the ice wasn't, it was really deep. It was, I'm not sure how deep. It seemed almost bottomless. And the tier was like right in the middle. It was this giant pillar made of like ice. You could see it. So I will look to other people. And impaled on the tier was the remains of a Garu.
You kind of see her absorb those words. And Joseph, you can see hands kind of over the sides of the chair, reaching over her shoulders, kind of digging what looked to be claws into her shoulders, pulling her back and almost slumping her shoulders for her.
The path to the tier was treacherous as the ice started to break. We almost lost Aspen and Artie there, but we were able to pull them out. When we reached the tier, the Garu came to life. Wasn't the same. It was, I think, it was called a remnant. And we fought it.
Did you kill it?
I will go into detail some of the fight. Thus, like Joseph and I plunging into the water as we were trying to at least push it off to us to be able to get to the tier. Aiden surrounded by I forget the name of the creatures.
Jaglings.
Jaglings, yeah. Aiden surrounded by jaglings and fighting them off. And I will definitely go more into detail about Aspen's climb and her brave overcoming some inhibitions she has, her bravery, and busting open the stadium so that the moon could shine through. And her and Artie leaping down from the top of the stadium to finish the battle where we put him to rest.
She kind of twitches a little bit as you're talking about the harrowing journey up the side of the arena and smashing through. Joseph, you can kind of see her bristling and shaking off the hands a little bit in that. But as that kind of section comes to a rest, they sink back in again and almost kind of like pull her back.
And we recovered this. I don't know who's holding it. Who's holding the talisman?
Joseph has it.
Okay, I'll look to Joseph. We recovered
Yep.
something for you.
He'll stand up, walk gently over, slowly over, and pull out the pendant. This belongs in your hands.
You kind of see these like little sets of eyes appear around her, kind of like hissing and rasping as
I
you go
will
drawing
glare
closer.
at them. I'll make eye contact with them. Be like, you don't have a hold over this anymore. This is hers. And you will let her go.
Go ahead and give me a manipulation and intimidation roll.
Can I assist?
Since you can't see exactly what he's targeting or what he's staring at, I'm gonna have to say no. You'd just be kind of looking in a general vicinity and they wouldn't necessarily feel the force of your intimidation on it. This is kind of his battle to fight as the only one that they recognize, see them.
I thought so, but it was worth a shot.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
I'm trying to think if I have a creative way of using a different skill.
If
And
you can make a good case, I'm all
that's
for
what
it.
I'm building my case.
Okay.
My case is for occult in presenting myself as a spirit of power and using my knowledge of how the spirits move and act in place of trying to be intimidating as a human would.
Manipulation in occult?
Yeah, I'll still use manipulation. It's my crappiest social stat, but manipulation makes perfect sense, but I kind of want to use my call for that.
I'll let you roll it, but I am going to say the difficulty will go up. Because you are not a spirit of power, and they're not completely idiots. But it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I want to try speaking their language. Did not botch, but no.
Okay. They don't seem bothered. If anything, they seem even more kind of... You can see her kind of go to extend her hand, but you can see more of these clawed hands kind of reaching around her arm, trying to pin it down to the point that she can't even lift her elbow off of
I will
the
place
arm
it
of
in
the
her
chair.
hand. I will do all of the work and place it in her hand.
She kind of looks at it and runs a thumb over the center of the talisman. And the only word she says upon receiving it, no gratitude, no, even a semblance or recognition of what you've done, all she says is Orion. As her thumb kind of traces the surface of it. And then her fingers kind of start to close around it, but you, again, with your extra sight, can see even tinier little arms kind of reaching up and pulling at the fingers. And
That was his name?
Yes. And almost powerlessly, she turns her hand, and the talisman just slides out and drops to the floor.
I'm gonna catch it.
Okay, go ahead and give me a dexterity and athletics to quickly snatch it, to stop it from hitting the floor's surface.
Two successes on that.
How many? 2? That's quick enough.
2.
It's a slow fall as it kind of... The leather thong that kind of holds it together slides through. My boy.
Can you tell us about him? I'm sure he was very brave.
Her eyes kind of look towards Aiden. He was young, naive at times, foolhardily brave. But that's what made him special. He never thought it was a fight not worth fighting, no matter how bad it got, no matter how many fell, or how many gave up, or how many left. At times, and her eyes kind of trace over to Aspen, he was afraid. Doubt can be a terrible thing. It creeps in and it infects. But he always, and her eyes kind of move over to Jester, sang the songs of our people, of what we are, of why we're here, of what makes us so important. But like me, finally landing on Joseph, he was spirit touched, favored. He knew to talk to them with respect and reverence till he earned their respect, that they viewed him as a peer, an equal. And then they killed him. Because spirits are fickle and unpredictable. They take what they want, and when they have no longer any use for you, they discard you. Just like they did my boy. Sucking the life out of him. Leaving him nothing but a husk. But now his fight is finally over. You can see her head kind of drop, her eyes leaving Joseph. Sometimes I'm jealous.
Kent, are there any morning songs with the Garo?
Go ahead and roll me a... I'll give you a couple of choices. Intelligence and politics. Intelligence and occult. Intelligence and etiquette. One of those three skill combinations I'll give you a shot at.
This could be fun. Oh, hey, 2 successes.
There are. You might not know all of the words or all of the correct tonal, notes for it, or what it's even specifically for, or how it's supposed to be used. But you kind of have the gist of it. Enough to at least give it the old college try, as it were, to see if you can kind of throw it something together.
I will start singing a song. If I'm throwing things together, I'm gonna start adding my own stuff too, since I don't have this. It was morning, but it's also gonna be a representation of his bravery and all the aspects that she spoke about, and how they can live on through the rest of us speaking about it and singing about it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a charisma and performance check.
Can I use my storyteller specialty?
Absolutely. As this is a story that you are weaving together.
With my knowledge of like occult and etiquette, can I assist? Can I sing along? I also have performance. Can I sing along with her, but
Sure.
like with
Yeah,
the bits that I recognize?
I'll add next to die to hers for the song.
Sweet.
while she's rolling, I would have sat down next to her and like not been standing up anymore.
8 successes with a crit.
8 successes with a critical.
That's my bag, baby.
The song rings out clear and true, laced with emotion, laced with heartache, but also laced with inspiration and drive, and maybe even, because it's Jester, a little bit of fury. And Joseph, you can see that the song doesn't just send waves through the prime material plane, but into the Umbra as well, as almost like waves of sound breaking through the haze and the smoke and this cloud that seems to encapsulate her. You can see some of the claws unhinge desperately, like clinging towards heads that you can't see from behind, trying to kind of shield themselves from this cacophonous wave that seems to be washing all of them over them. Not all of them go, but definitely the little ones around the fingers, and some of the ones kind of tremor slightly around her shoulders. But you could tell that they still have enough force for her to be pinned down, but you can also see her kind of relaxing a little bit with it. Her head remains kind of slouched forward. Her eyes still remain closed. But some of the tension in her furrowed brow relaxes ever so slightly. As the song comes to a conclusion, she kind of rasps out, but with like a slightly higher tone to her voice, less ragged and bedraggled. Some interesting choices.
Creative choices. I don't know the proper right, but perhaps if you know it, we could do it together. I think he would like that. To show that he's still loved and cherished. Joseph told me there's a place that spirits go. Perhaps he's watching. Spirits of the dead, I mean, obviously. Umbras for other spirits.
She looks up and you can see the same kind of redness in her eyes, a little more renewed. I should have done more to make him stop.
Could you have stopped him? If he was, like you said, headstrong.
Maybe. I think a part of him, a part of me, wanted him to go. Still had hope that there was something that could be done. The last part of me that had hope something could be done. And it cost me everything.
Found it. He found what he was looking for, and we were able to bring it back. Even when we make those sacrifices, there are others to pick up the fight. We make those changes one step at a time. It's not over. We're here. We're back. His fight lives on in us. we would have nowhere to go without him making that journey.
There's a term online that's used a lot. He walked so we could run. He fought so that we could succeed.
Have you ever had anything in your life that meant more to you? Her eyes go to Aiden, and then over to Aspen, then the fight itself. Anything you would give it all up for just to have back, even just for a moment?
Yeah.
That thought has occurred.
But that's not how it works. And you can sit in that guilt and in that shame and in that sorrow, or you could do better because of them, and you can make it mean something. I know what that's like, and to throw all of it away because the guilt and the shame and the grieving is too strong. That's when you have to pick yourself up, and you have to make it mean something. It means it's just as much for you as it is for them.
It means we failed. It already meant something. If we can't protect the ones that mean the most to us, we failed. We protect our families more than ourselves. We protect those people with everything we have. We fight for them. If they're not here, it doesn't mean anything. It means we're doing it for people who don't care, the people who caused this, the people who make this happen, who kill Gaia with their thoughts and their actions and their deeds. Why should we do it for them? Why should we suffer for them? They don't
Do it for
care.
them. I do it for the trees. For the squirrels, for the ants. For all of Gaia's creations. And we could have a few, but without, if we're not protecting Gaia, we're not protecting this world, then we're just going to disappear the same way our loved ones would. So we could hoard those precious few and let the world burn, but then we'll lose them just the same.
At least we'd be together.
We're together now.
My father killed himself when I was 8 years old. big in the real estate business before the bubble burst in 2008. I didn't even know there was something to fight against at that point. And at that time, he was my favorite person. So I fight for his memory. I fight for the little girl I was that didn't get a chance to fight. I fight for my friends who, not even having what we have, are fighting currently in jail right now because they were helping me. And they're just human. So sometimes you have to fight for the people who can't.
I did. My whole life. I was a young change. Younger than most. I didn't have a childhood. I didn't have adolescence. All I've done is fight. And slowly but surely, all I've done is lose. Over and over and over again. The trees, yeah, they'll be cut down, but they'll regrow. Gaia gave me nothing, and I gave her everything. I gave her the stars, the moon. I gave her my blood, my tears, my fury, my song. How long are we supposed to fight? How long are we supposed to sacrifice? She didn't even give us a choice. She just took it all.
She gave also, though. There should be some memories in there, even with, and he'll point to the picture with that one of good times that wouldn't have necessarily been there if Gaia wouldn't have been part of that. Yes, life has loss, and you may feel like you are lost in a shrouded wood, but your pack can rekindle that light for your path to get you out of that wood. Look to the happy things that did go
My
on.
pack is dead, Pop.
What do you see before you? I see 5 Guru willing to risk to try and save this world. A pack who will stand together and, against insurmountable odds, overcome. That is the fight that we're going for. We're going to save this world. Little battles here and there, but those are the ones people talk about. At the moots, yes, they talk about the grand one, but it's the little ones that these fights are built on. The foundation has to start somewhere. This area has been torn down to nothing. We have to build. And this pack will do that.
Roll me a charisma and persuasion, Aiden.
I'll assist because I'm going to say I didn't get a chance to tell you how this tale ended while we left. When we returned to the lake to leave the Umbra, there was water. It was no longer dried and cracked. There was about ankle deep worth of water.
Go ahead and add a die,
Good.
Aiden.
Good. Three.
Joseph, surprisingly, considering the source, some of the claws come off as she almost like shakes them off a little bit. You can see her chest kind of puff out a little bit at Aiden's words, accompanied by gestures. I can't lead you.
Don't need you to.
Why would you want my help anyway? The nation doesn't.
An advisor, someone who's been here, who's seen what's been going on, would be a huge asset for what we're trying to do here.
A secret between you and I? The nation walked away. You didn't. Right now, that means more than anything from a nation that walked away. We can start here with just us.
A pack needs a leader. Yes, we all would work as one, but someone needs to be in the front.
Aiden will look over towards Aspen.
We all have a job. And that's mine. That's what I'm here for. You don't have to lead.
Go ahead and make one last charisma and persuasion check, Aspen.
I'll assist as well if possible. New
Yeah.
line.
In fact, you can take one dice for every member of the pack who's made an argument, so all 3 additional dice.
Also,
Okay.
you're in pain, and I'd like to see you not in so much pain.
She kind of looks over to a drawer at the table, pulls it open, and you can hear the rattle of pill bottles inside. I tried. Many times.
Did you have anyone here with you?
There wasn't anyone.
Well, you're not alone now anymore.
Aspen?
Quick question. Can I use my ancestral conviction and add my honor to the persuasion roll?
Yeah.
That is 10.
Successes?
Yes, sir.
Well, if nothing else worked, and she slides the drawer shut, might as well try this. And as she reaches out to you again, Joseph, towards the talisman, you can see her almost overpowering the remaining hands that are in her as they unhinge and kind of break free, that she's able to pull forward. You can even see the hands that are pinning her to the back of the chair kind of jerk out of her back. And she reaches and takes the talisman and holds it in her hand. For you, my boy. She kisses the talisman and places it against her heart. there's a lot of work to do. Joseph, you're the one I can help the most to start. My book. It's in my bedroom.
Get up and go get it.
And as you go and get the book, she just kind of sits holding the talisman to her chest. And as you retrieve it, you find the old bound up notebook that she had. You bring it out and pass it over to her. And she, not even looking at the book, with her eyes closed, almost like instinctually fingers through the pages until she pauses, the book laying open and her hand draped across some writing. And the book says, "The Right of Cairn Building." And that is where we're going to end our session for this evening. Thank you so much to these incredible players. Thank you so much to everybody watching at home. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Rage Across Tampa. Eliza has been redeemed from Harano. It'll take a couple days for it all to set in and for her to find her way back, but because of the drive and purpose and belief in this particular mission of this pack, she has been restored and is one step removed from the depths of Harano. And perhaps through their actions and deeds, she might be able to find her way back even more. Programming notes, there will be no Don't Get Caught this week, no After Dark this week, as we are having our Kindred Con weekend celebration, our big gathering meetup in St. Petersburg, Florida, where many members of the community will be flying, driving, flapping their arms to come into town and to get together to celebrate this community that we have forged for the second time. So we will be off for Rage Across Tampa next week, but we will be returning for an episode of After Dark following Kindred Con on January 27th. So stay tuned for that. Pay attention to the schedule. And if you're not caught up on all of the amazing episodes of all the amazing programs we have, you can find them here on Twitch or over on YouTube, and you can get caught up because this is a significant step in this story. But the story overall really is just beginning, and we'll be getting into all that very, very soon. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Go follow these amazing players on their various social media. Go follow St. Pete on social media so you can stay up to date. I know a certain Arun Gale Stalker has posted some very interesting TikTok content lately, so maybe go check that out. But we will see you in just a couple of weeks back here in Rage Across Tampa. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a lovely evening. Goodbye, everyone.